Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet. It is time to grab your cup of coffee, your tea, sit back and relax so we can chat about what is happening up in the stars above today. It is Friday, so Friday, and that means we're taking a look at today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And a good weekend might be on tap for us here. And we're going to talk about that, but we'll also dive a little deeper today into what is the beginning of the sun's transits through the shadow energies of the spleen. Now, the shadow energies are survival energies, which means that they can be expressed, and anything in the gene keys can be expressed through the shadow, the gift, or the siddhi. So we're looking at this holographic view of the potential for the expression of these energies. Every year at this time, the sun begins to move through the gates of the spleen, and it brings this opportunity for us to look at those shadows and see how they might be impacting us as a collective, but also for you as an individual. And what is it that we need to be aware of, and how do we move out of the shadow and up into the gift levels and into, eventually into the siddhi levels. So we're going to be talking about that today, and each week that's what we're going to be doing, is taking a look at the gene key that is being highlighted that week. And because the sun moves through a gate or a gene key, they are interchangeable phrases here. Um, in about 5 to 6 days, if we try to do this every Friday, for example, for the next 7 weeks, it might be, off a day or 2. So just be aware that actually yesterday was the first day that the sun moved into the gate 18, and or the gene key 18, and the earth into the 17. So we're also going to look at the earth. We have to, right? We have to be able to look at earth, because if you don't have the earth piece handled, you can't rise to the highest level of the sun's energy at that gene key or in that gate. So, it's good to have all of you with us. Happy Friday. I am so relieved that our friend Debbie in Florida was relatively left intact, right, Debbie? That the hurricane somehow went around you, but that means it also is hitting a whole lot of other people, not only in Florida, but Georgia and further north as it moves North Carolina way and Tennessee way. So, blessings for everyone. Hopefully, everybody is finding safe shelter from the storm. And what can we do? We know it's storm season there, right? So we all we can do is keep praying for the best outcome for all involved. But Debbie, so grateful that you are not impacted, as I know a few years back you were impacted in a very big way, and that was just something I did not want for you this year, especially with all the things that have been going on in your life. So I'm very relieved, very thankful. Good morning to, let's see, Diana S. Blessings to all in Helene's path. She survived Hurricane Francine. And there is a new low. I heard about this too in the Caribbean. Hurricane season still here through November. October last year or 2 years ago, what was it, where we went all the way to Z, right? And that, phew, lots of hurricanes that year. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, Terry. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Jacqueline. Great to see all of you out there this morning. So, we're going to first talk about the weekend moon. It's the biggest news that I have in terms of astrology. And then we're going to move into the 2 gene keys. Interesting, too, because the sun in the gate 18 mirrors where the south node of the moon is, and the earth at gate 17 mirrors where the north node of the moon is. So today's maybe a deeper dive, 2 days deeper dive into the 17 and 18, or 18 and then 17, might be pretty interesting in terms of karma and destiny for all of us here on the planet during this time. And the weekend moon, as you know, I love the sign of Leo. And today the moon is in Leo all day. Tomorrow it's in Leo all day. And then very early Sunday morning transitions out of Leo and into the sign of Virgo, another one of my favorite signs for getting things done. So we have a weekend that is sort of split, if you will. I always consider Friday part of the weekend since I'm here chatting with you. So we have the moon in Leo today. So it brings opportunities then for us to play and have some fun. And it brings the moon in Leo specifically brings a lot of warmth and creativity and an urge for self expression to the forefront into our emotional bodies. And the moon in Leo often sparks that desire to be seen, to be recognized, to be appreciated. And it's a time when you might feel more playful, bold, fun loving, eager to engage with others. Leo's influence in the moon encourages us to tap into our inner child and to take the spotlight, if you will, and share our authentic selves with the world. Now, emotional needs. The moon represents our emotions, our inner selves, our intuition. So if the sun is outer, the moon is the inner. And so we have Leo, who is a sign that's ruled by the sun, being blended with the moon here in that sign and the emotional needs of the moon. So under under the Leo moon, what we crave is attention, validation, joy, right? We want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be valued. And so that means it's a great day for us to bring activities out into the open that are joyful or creative, and it's a great time to spend time with loved ones or just simply have fun, right? It's a fun kind of moon. The social interactions can tend to be more dramatic, though, emotionally, but also more heart centered, as we come to a place of love within us. And Leo moon also invites us to explore ourselves, our inner dynamics as well. So, how to use the Leo moon? Well, engage in activities that make you feel super vibrant and excited and happy and playful, whether it's using your skills in a creative hobby or a social event, or just pampering yourself, just taking care of you. But Leo is also a sign of leadership, and we may also feel more confident during this time in stepping into our power or stepping into our personal or professional situations, taking advantage of those opportunities to really shine, and also using the Leo moon's energy to inspire others, or to actually become the leader in something meaningful in our lives. We also have to be mindful, though, of ego and pride. While Leo loves recognition, the shadow side can seek validation for the wrong reasons, right? Which means, I'm yelling, trying to be seen. I'm talking over people, perhaps, or I'm just saying or doing things designed to get attention. And that means we have to stay grounded in our authentic selves over the weekend. So we're not just out there, saying, "Hey, look at me, watch me," and all eyes on me. If we have everybody out there doing that, it would be a very weird weekend, wouldn't it? Now, Sunday, the moon moves off into Virgo, and the energy of Virgo is shifting us from the playful energies of Leo into the more practical, pragmatic, organizational, and self improvement oriented energies of Virgo. And it brings us more groundedness. It has a focused vibe about it, right? Where we can focus on something, where we can perfect something or see to the details of something. And it might be a good day to make plans to take care of your health or any work related tasks that you have. It is a good day to check in with the body and see what you're doing on the health level and your well being. On the emotional side, the Virgo moon highlights our needs for order and for efficiency and for service. So we may feel more inclined to tidy up, to organize, to get things in order. Now, remember, we've just come out of the sun in Virgo. So now the moon here in Virgo is maybe helping us. So we might have tidied up and cleaned up on the outer, but now it's time to look on the inner and find out where it is that we have changes that need to be made. Maybe it's a good time for reflecting on our routines or our health habits and anything in our lives that could use refining, right? That's what Virgo energy does. It refines. So we also have specific ways that we can use the moon's energy in Virgo. So this would be Sunday and into Monday, by the way. So Monday, we start the work week with the same Virgo energy. Focus on productivity, focus on organization, whether it's cleaning up your space or perfecting something in that space, or if you're preparing for the next week or tackling a to-do list, the Virgo moon is perfect for getting things done. And pay attention to self-care. In the regular natural wheel of the astrology chart, Virgo rules the sixth house or has an affinity with the sixth house, and that's a house of well-being and health and healing and healers. So it is time to pay attention to health and wellness. Virgo rules also the digestive system. So it's a good day for healthy meal planning, for exercise, for detoxing, for all of the things that we kind of sometimes need to pay attention to, right, in within the body. Be mindful, though, of perfectionism and perfection seeking. That is also amped up somewhat with the gene key 18 and that, or the sun at the gene key 18 or the gate 18, as its need is also about perfecting. So Sunday could be a trigger. And or events just prior to that could trigger that perfection seeking, and it can sometimes bring that the moon in Virgo can has that critical eye, right? It can see the details and can also get caught up in the small flaws and use the flaws as a reason to destroy everything. Not a good plan, right? Remember not to get lost in the details. Don't get lost there. Balance your desire for improvement with self-compassion. Be okay if there's a flaw, because sometimes it's the flaws that make the piece more expensive, right? So the flow of the weekend, if we look at the moon's flow, we have Friday and Saturday with the moon in Leo. And I know Friday's not the weekend specifically, but I like to lump it in there because it always feels so good to be at Friday. But these are days where it's time for us to shine, to socialize, to embrace joy. Focus on your creative expression, making decisions that are more bold. Remember last weekend, I was like, no, don't make decisions. It's too crazy. This weekend is a little bit better for that. Make sure you are involving yourself in heart centered connections with people and having heart centered interactions with people. And it's also a good day for showing up as the authentic you, right? Being you. Take off the masks. Stop trying to be something that you're not. Stop trying to make everybody else happy by being who you think they want you to be. Just be you and enjoy that. Now, Sunday, of course, is a day for grounding, refining, taking care of practical matters. It's a complete difference from Leo. Focus on tasks and health in any area of your life that needs a bit of organization or some cleanup or some detoxifying. The shift to Virgo really helps us to balance the vibrant energy from Leo into a more methodical and mindful approach to life in general. So, woo, right? It's not a bad weekend through the moon. Now, there are some moon aspects I want to talk about because they are a little more tricky, perhaps. And one of them is a square from the moon in Leo to Venus, who is in Scorpio. So we have a square, which is a challenging aspect between the moon and Venus in this case. And that brings intensity to our relationships and to our emotions. A square between the moon and Venus can create tension. And especially in the dynamics of our relationships, and with Leo and Scorpio both involved, there can be this intense need for recognition and validation. And that clashes with the deeper, more possessive and secretive nature, perhaps, of the emotional undercurrents of Venus in Scorpio. Got to watch that, right? There is emotional depth and vulnerability here, though. So, a Scorpio Venus really craves that emotional depth and a connection, right? While the Leo moon desires playfulness and the me attention, right? So the aspect can be a push pull sort of dynamic, and the desire for fun and self expression of Leo, of the moon in Leo, clashes with the deeper emotional needs or insecurities, perhaps, of Venus in Scorpio. So, what to watch out for? Number one on my list, Avoid power struggles. Avoid manipulative behaviors in your relationships. Be mindful of those Scorpio shadows of jealousy, possessiveness, or hidden emotional triggers that come up to the surface that you then react to rather than respond to. So try to balance the need for that emotional intensity of Scorpio with the desire for joy and self expression that Leo brings to that. Now, as well, today we have the moon in Leo in a sextile to the sun in Libra. So here we have the smoothing out piece, right? The smoother comes along. And this is about harmonious self expression. So the sextile between the moon and the sun creates a supportive flow between our emotions, our inner selves, and our outer selves, or our sense of ego or self, represented by the sun. And the sun in Libra brings a focus to balance and harmony and fairness and all of those equality sort of based feelings. And it complements the moon's need for the self expression in Leo. So they work well together here. So Libra's influence here as well emphasizes partnerships and our social harmony. How do we get along together in a group or in a family or community? And as well, Leo wants to shine as an individual. That is the moon in Leo, while the sun in Libra says, okay, but let's make sure everybody has equal time, right? That everybody gets heard, seen, valued in the mix. So focus on the energy of harmonizing our personal needs with relationship dynamics. Big deal, right? It's a time for creative collaboration and or socializing with others. Remember, Libran energy is the collaboration, cooperation, and co-creation energies. And the moon in Leo is taking our self-expression, our personal, individualized self-expression, and adding it to that energy, right? Becoming the individual piece that is a part of the greater whole, that if you weren't there and you didn't participate or you didn't add your personal self to that whole, there would be something missing in that tapestry, right? There'd be a hole where you should have been, where your energy, your authenticity should be. So then on Saturday, we have the moon in Leo sextiling Jupiter now rather than just the sun. And this is optimism and expansion energy. This really makes that Saturday feel really good. And it's kind of this burst then of optimism and of curiosity. Jupiter's in Gemini, and intellectual expansion perhaps brought to the forefront. Leo's expressive energy is amplified by Jupiter's expansive nature, and it makes it a great day for creative ideas, learning, exploring, etc. And of course, social energy gets amped up as well. Gemini is a social sign. Jupiter in Gemini amplifying that or magnifying that. And as well with the moon in Leo, a sign that craves that sort of attention or being in that social dynamic with their expressive self, um, kind of works well together. And it's a great time then for us to be with other people, maybe expressing a sense of adventure. So, what should we be focusing on then? Embracing curiosity. That's a big one here. Exploring new ideas, engaging in conversation that stimulates other people's imaginations, learning something new, express yourself confidently, embracing joy. Sounds like a good weekend, doesn't it? Also on Saturday, the moon in Leo, though, is squaring Uranus in Taurus. So remember, it's right in today's energy, we had the square and the sextile. And on Saturday, we have the sextile and now the square, right? That in time order, this is the order in which they come up in the world. So on Saturday as well, we have this moment, time of unpredictability, especially unpredictable emotions. And the square between the moon and Uranus can bring that unexpected or that disruptive energy as emotions are shifting, right? The emotional energy is shifting. Taurus wants that stability and seeks to break free from restrictions, while the Leo moon craves recognition and validation. And this aspect can sort of create an emotional tension or sudden changes in plans. So we should expect the unexpected, right? That's kind of the way we look at that. There's also a certain amount of restlessness that is occurring over Saturday, and that can, contribute to a feeling of rest or of a desire to make things more stable. But ride with the wave, right? Just go with this wave. There could be breakthroughs on the other end of these changes, and it can also create some emotional instability, though, within yourself or within others that can bring clashes to the surface. So be flexible and open to sudden changes. Avoid clinging to any kind of rigid expectations. Set them aside. Embrace new ideas or new perspectives. Be mindful of the potential for emotional volatility. So watch out for being impulsive and doing things, on the spur of the moment that could be dangerous or could be upending your day, especially if it's driven by emotional frustration or the need for attention. Right? We got to watch out these things. So the overall themes for the weekend: Friday, emotional depth and intensity in relationships with the moon squaring Venus are balanced by the harmonious flow between self expression and partnership with the moon in Leo, or sextile the sun, excuse me. Saturday, and the moon in Leo as well. Saturday, a sense of optimism and social change or social energy driven by the moon, God Lord, the moon's sextile to Jupiter, but it's also got the potential for disruption and the need for us to be flexible and to roll with whatever the punches are that Uranus brings. So it's a dynamic weekend, and we have opportunities for joy, for creative expression, for learning, but we might also have some emotional challenges that, require us to be more flexible and open-minded, perhaps. All right. So who else has joined us here this morning? Hello, JLo. Good morning, Jolie. And hello, Asa. It's good to see you with us this morning. And Teddy Hickox, hello to you. And Tom W says, Tuxedo Cat, social harmony. I don't know where the Tuxedo Cat is. Is he in my house? That would be Dude. I don't think he's in the house, but he might be. And no, I did not feel the San Juan earthquake yesterday, and neither did my son Wesley, who was literally just miles from the earthquake. He did not feel it at all. And oh, Tom says, be like a cat when in doubt, clean. That's a good one. Um, from judgment to perfection. Oh gosh, Tom, I love your humor. All right. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry, but good morning to all of you. Let's dive into the good stuff, shall we? Mm, Here you might want to take notes. Here you might want to have your human design, or if you have your gene keys hologenetic profile with you, it would be good to have that just to see if these gene keys are activated for you already. Now, they will be or are now activated for you because the sun moved into the gene key 18 yesterday and the earth at the 17 yesterday. But let me tell you this, they've also been activated for the last, maybe month and a half, because the south and north nodes of the moon are also sitting at these two gates, right? With the north node sitting at the 17 and the south node sitting at the 18. So now what we're combining here energetically is the sun's energy, which is now at the gate 18 or gene key 18, interchangeable phrases. Don't get confused. A gate 18 in the human design system is the gene key 18 in the gene keys system. The gene keys looks at that gate, if you will, in a holographic way, meaning we're looking at it through shadow, gift, and city. And the human design gate 18 does not do that, right? It doesn't really, we speak about the potential for the shadow expression, but we don't look at it in that same way, but they are the same energies. If anybody's confused about that, let me know in the comments so that I can help you clear that off. He jumped off the dresser after grooming himself. Oh my gosh, dude. You know, that cat. You gotta love him because he's just so sweet. But he and my cat, they don't necessarily see eye to eye. And so often I'm sitting here working and all of a sudden I hear my cat screech and I scream because she scared the crap out of me. And it's because dude and she are chasing one another. Oh my Lord. Sometimes it's like a three-ring circus here in my house. It is just ridiculous. But today, Binksy is out carousing because yesterday she wasn't able to. It was raining bad all day. And yeah, so she's out looking for mice or gophers or whatever she looks for. Okay, gene key 18. Now, when we talk about the gene keys, we're talking about a system, right? A system that's different from human design, but built on the same premises, right? Same sort of basic energies. In the gene keys, we talk about the energy as a path or a frequency that moves from one to the next to the next. So we talk about it like this. This is the gene key that takes us from judgment to perfection through integrity. So through being true to ourselves. So it moves from the shadow of judgment to the gift of integrity and ultimately to the city of perfection. And each stage is a transformative process and it deeply impacts how it is that we see and interact with the world. Right. And even if you don't know what your gene keys are, these shadows are part of your genes. These gifts are part of your genes, and the cities also are part of your genes. And here's where we get into this really interesting thing about the gene keys is that it really shows us that we are not the victim of our genetics, right? In done in kind of embedded, let's use that word, within our genes is the expression for every human genome, for anything in the genome that can be expressed. And for the longest time, science has said that, you know, you are your genes, so that it almost felt fated in some ways that we would express certain things. You know, now in the genes, of course, they code for many things from eye color, the physical, you know, build of your body, but also to the predisposition to express different personality traits and what have you. And it's those things and the hidden aspects in the genome that we have free will to be able to express in any way that we see fit. So, if we're talking about this gene key 18, and let's say you have it in your profile, it doesn't mean that you're doomed to always be a perfectionistic, nitpicky, critical, judgmental person. It means that you have this spectrum of consciousness through which you can express that energy. All right. You're choosing how to express this energy. It isn't fated or because of your genes that you are doomed to express anything. So it really means that we have the ability to impact our genetics, right? Our genes and the way that we express them. So now, if we look at the shadow of judgment, which is the big thing that we're going to see most likely first, right? That's kind of the world is still in survival mode. And so the energies of the spleen center in the body graph that these gates or gene keys are all a part of is a center of time, intuition, health, but also survival. And survival would be this bare minimum, right? I don't want to just survive. Do you? I mean, I do want to survive, but I want to thrive. So by moving those fear-based energies from this mere survival to thriving means that we're moving from the shadow to the gift to the city. All right. Did I make myself clear there? Hopefully everybody gets that. If you have any questions, let me know. So let's look at the shadow of judgment. And it has a core theme. And the core theme revolves around the critical, perfection seeking mind, the mind seeking perfection. And at this level, the mind becomes obsessed, literally obsessed with finding flaws, both in the external world, but also within oneself. And the root of this judgment stems from unresolved emotional patterns, often connected to our childhoods and or our childhood conditioning or our ancestral trauma. Right, we're all a part of an ancestral line that's still encoded in our genetics, but we don't have to be a victim of it, right? Now, this is inward and outward criticism. The shadow can manifest as an incessant internal dialogue that picks apart every imperfection. In relationships, it projects outward, causing friction through harsh criticism or high expectations of those people outside of us. And it creates separation and the need to judge and correct others. And it overshadows compassion, right? In the shadows, right? It gives us this illusion of perfection in the shadow here. The shadow of judgment operates from the belief that something is fundamentally wrong and that perfection must be achieved before we can feel at peace, right? This leads to a cycle of dissatisfaction because the mind is always finding something to nitpick, to critique, or to improve, right? Just think about, that outfit you try on this morning, right? For you women, sometimes you men do the same thing. And, you're picking it apart. Hmm. Picking your hair apart, picking your whatever apart, right? And judgment is a way of avoiding emotional vulnerability. Focusing on what's wrong externally distracts us from the deeper emotional wounds that are occurring inside of us that need healing. So, how does it feel when we're operating in the shadow of this gene key? Well, it's a tendency to be overly critical of yourself or others. If you find yourself doing that, you are operating in the shadow of this gene key. It's a feeling that things are never good enough, right? I've worked this, and I just can't get it perfected. And it is also characterized by a struggle with accepting flaws or imperfections in life, in yourself or in others. So, I'm going to give you a couple of reflection questions um, just so that you can, take a deeper look at yourself and how this gene key may be influencing you. And here's the first one. Where in your life are you most judgmental toward yourself or others? Where in your life are you most judgmental towards self or others? And then the second reflection question, how does judgment keep you from connecting deeply with your emotions or the emotions between you and others? Right? How does judgment keep you from connecting deeply with your own emotions or the emotions of others? Reflections. This is what gene keys are all about. It is a contemplation. This isn't a get the book, read the book from cover to cover, and expect that you know everything about the gene keys within yourself, because it doesn't work that way, right? This is contemplative energy. All right. Now, let's take a look at the gift in this and what does that look like. When we're talking about the gift of integrity, what we're doing here is looking at the core theme of moving out of the shadow of judgment. We arrive at the gift of integrity, and integrity here is not about morality, right? It is about living in alignment with your inner truth. It involves seeing the world clearly, recognizing imperfections because we are always in a process of perfecting, but choosing to act with love and responsibility instead of criticism. It offers us discernment over judgment, right? In the gift of integrity, you still see flaws and problems, but instead of reacting with judgment, you respond with discernment, right? Responding with discernment. You understand that imperfections are a part of life, it's a part of life's design and are necessary for growth and evolution. If I can't see what's needing to be perfected, then I can't do anything about it. So we still have to be able to see it, right? But we're looking at it differently. So rather than trying to fix or control, we're offering solutions or constructive feedback where it's appropriate and when it is requested from you. not just walking up to somebody and saying, "Oh, hey, you have your pants on inside out," right? We don't want to do it that way. It also involves emotional maturity at the gift level here. Integrity requires that maturity in order to remain centered and compassionate. And even in the most challenging situations, integrity can help us stay in that center. You no longer avoid emotional discomfort when we're in the gift of integrity. We face it with grace, allowing our inner truth to guide our actions, right? Our inner truth. And then we align action and intention when we are in operating from the gift of integrity. Um, our actions align with our inner truth, our inner values. All right. This is where we often go wrong in the world. We state we have these certain values, or we believe that we're operating from that value, but then we do things that take us away from that, that are out of integrity, right? So, in this case, there is no gap between what you feel, believe, and do. That's what operating from integrity looks like. It creates a profound sense of self trust and respect from others as your integrity becomes evident in all parts of your life, right? All parts of your life. And how does that feel? How does it feel when you're operating in the gift frequency of integrity? You recognize and acknowledge imperfections without being controlled by them. You're able to discern when and how to offer feedback and when to let things be. Hmm. Your actions align with your deepest values, and it creates a sense of harmony that you're operating from and respect in your relationships. So, questions for reflection. How do you handle imperfections in yourself and others without falling into judgment? How do you handle imperfections in yourself and others without falling into judgment? Mm, mm, mm. In what areas of your life could you bring more integrity where your actions and values are fully aligned? In what area of your life could you bring more integrity where your actions and values are fully aligned? Those are your questions for the gift of integrity. Now, let's look at the siddhi. Siddhi is I believe, a Sanskrit word, a Hindu word that means the highest expression of, right? The highest that we can reach, right? The core theme here is perfection. Interesting, right? The city of perfection is the highest expression of the gene key 18, where all judgment and even discernment fall away, leaving only the pure recognition that everything in existence is already perfect. Even if it's flawed, it's perfect because the flawed is what's coming from the mind, right? This is not perfection in in the conventional sense of flawlessness, but an understanding that every moment, every experience is divinely orchestrated and is perfect in that moment, which means when we reach the siddhi of perfection, we are actually operating in transcending duality. Hmm. And at this level, we're transcending that whole dualistic thinking of good versus bad, right versus wrong. We're seeing beyond the mind's limited perception of imperfections and recognizing that the divine order underlying everything. And there is no need to fix or change or improve because everything is considered part of a greater perfection. Just take a look at our outer world at this moment in time, and can you reach that high into this level of perfection? Everything is considered part of the greater perfection. Now, the mirror of perfection here, when you embody this siddhi, you become a mirror of divine perfection for others, right? People around you feel the grace and the peace that you radiate because you're no longer imposing judgment on them or the world. And you become a beacon of acceptance and love and stillness, right? With complete trust in life. And perfection at this level is a state of surrender to the flow of life. right? We trust that every experience, even the most difficult ones, perfectly aligns with our spiritual journey. And we no longer resist or judge what happens. We just allow life to unfold as it is, perfect in every moment. Now, I don't know if there are people operating from this city in the world, but I know what it might feel like if we are operating from this. It would create a deep sense of peace and acceptance of everything as it is. And it would become the dissolution of any need to control anything, right? We just wouldn't need to control it and we wouldn't need to fix it because we wouldn't see it as broken. It's a feeling of profound trust, trust in the flow of life and that everything is perfect in its own way. Tall order. Now, how questions for reflection for you. I hope you guys are writing these down. If not, no worries. Maybe I'll do this. I'll write them down in Facebook and on the YouTube description, and you can also access them there. So, question for reflection here. How can you begin to see perfection in uncomfortable or challenging situations? We have a huge challenging situation coming up in this country. It's called an election. How can we see perfection in all of that? What would life look like if we surrendered fully to the idea that everything is already perfect? Hmm. All right, so let's look at a summary of the Gene Key 18, and then I'll take a look and see what people's questions are. So, in the shadow of judgment, this is about obsessing over flaws and imperfections, both inwardly and outwardly. That creates a cycle of dissatisfaction and avoidance of the deeper emotions. What is driving all of that need to see imperfection? In the gift of integrity, it's acknowledging imperfection, but responding with love and responsibility with and acting with discernment rather than judgment, allowing alignment between our values and our actions, right? Being aligned. And in the city of perfection, it's transcending all judgment and trusting in life's perfect unfolding minute by minute, whatever it is that's being shown to us. And this transformative journey then from um, judgment to perfection comes through the energy of integrity, through self awareness, and looking within to see where your judgmental tendencies lie, and then cultivate a personal maturity and alignment by finally surrendering to life's inherent perfection, right? Everything is perfect just as it is. All right. Now, let's go to comments first. Um, it's called Love, Tom says. Exactly. J-Lo, my Pluto 18 and Pearl 17. We are going to get into the 17 next. We can't avoid the 17 because it's part of the balance between the sun and the earth. So between the 18 and the 17. Um, TD Hawk, I've never heard this definition of integrity. It brings to question those who are operating from their deep beliefs and goals of harming others and destruction. Have known people happiest in doing these things, right? But it's perfect. It's perfect, right? Because that's, if we're sitting in judgment of people who are like that, then we are also in judgment, not in integrity. It totally flips everything around in your head, doesn't it, TD? LOL, right? Okay. No other questions. Good morning, Leilani. It's good to have you with us this morning. And now let's take a look at the Gene Key 17. Okay. Now, as you know, in human design, the sun and the earth make up an axis, if you will, right? They are necessary, right? The earth helps us to ground in everything that must be grounded in order to reach the highest of the sun's energy. So you could look at it like this. So in the energy of the Gene Key 17, we have to have that in place in order to reach the perfection of the city, or the city of perfection, right? And even, working through the shadow of this gene key 17, which is where the Earth is this week, will help us to align with the sun. Okay, so they work together. They're really a pair, right? They are a pair. Now, as we explore the gene key 17, which is moves from the shadow of opinion to the gift of far-sightedness, and then ultimately to the city of omniscience. Kind of an interesting word, right? Omniscience. Understanding this gene key alongside the gene key 18 creates a fascinating balance between the energies of judgment and opinion, but both which relate to how our mind perceives and acts or interacts with the world, right? Again, we're going into the mind here. So let's talk about the shadow of opinion. Okay, the core theme. By the way, the gene key 18 is the shadow of judgment, sits on the spleen center in your human design. That is the center for time, intuition, and health. Right? We talked about that in the very beginning of this. The gene key 17 is actually on the ajna, the second center down, and it really is about the mind, because the ajna is the mind, right? So this has a lot to do with mind orientation, then thinking processes, opinion as a process in the mind. So opinion is tied to the mind's tendency to form rigid perspectives and judgments about reality, right? Opinions are mental constructs that are shaped by personal biases, by conditioning, and by societal influences. And while opinions are a natural part of the human existence or human expression, this shadow emerges when opinions become fixed and inflexible, leading to narrow thinking, right? When you would rather be right than to be able to see multiple points of view. So the limitation of perspective here is opinions are mistaken for truth, causing an individual to argue or defend their viewpoint without considering other perspectives. And this creates division, and it can create conflict, especially when you have opposing opinions clashing without any room for compromise or any broader understanding. Watch the debates lately. Emotional disconnection. The shadow of opinion is largely intellectual, which can disconnect us from our emotional truth. When opinions dominate, there is a tendency to intellectualize everything. And that helps us, or doesn't help us, it causes us to lose the depth of human emotion, of connection that comes from empathy and understanding one another. And how does it feel where when we're in this shadow of opinion? It is a strong attachment to your opinions, feeling the need to defend them at all costs, right? A sense of separation occurs then from others, and it's based on differing viewpoints, right? Separating ourselves from others because we have different viewpoints, and difficulty seeing beyond your own perspective. That leads you to this narrowed view of reality, right? Rather than an open mind, you have a narrowed mind, right? So it can be a real problem when we're all trying to get along in a world, and we're all these individual pieces of a bigger tapestry, and we see things differently based on our experiences, based on our culture, based on who we are, right? All right, so here's questions for reflection here. Where in your life are you most attached to your opinion? Where in your life are you most attached to your opinions? And how does your opinion limit your ability to see the bigger picture? How do your opinions limit your ability to see the bigger picture? Boom. All right, let's look at the gift of far-sightedness. So the core theme in the gift level is about transcending the narrowness of opinions and opens the mind to broader, more inclusive perspectives. So far-sightedness is the ability to step back and see the bigger picture and understand that every opinion is just a fragment of a greater whole, or we could use greater truth, right? Objective clarity. This gift is about seeing beyond the immediate and the obvious. It allows you to consider the long term consequences of actions, decisions, beliefs. And far-sightedness is also about being able to see the connections between seemingly unrelated events or ideas, gaining a more holistic view of reality. It is about open mindedness. At this level, you're able to hold multiple perspectives without needing to judge or defend them. Farsightedness allows for intellectual flexibility, where opinions are seen sort of as temporary, and they're temporary constructs as opposed to really fixed truths. How does it feel when we are in far-sightedness? We gain the ability to look beyond the immediate concerns and see the larger context of everything that's occurring. You no longer feel the need to defend your opinions, and instead you're open to exploring other viewpoints. And you might feel a sense of intellectual flexibility as your mind is able to flex between differing opinions and differing views. And you're able to adapt your thinking based on new insights and new information. Very expansive feeling here, right? Question for reflection here. How can you expand your perspective to see the bigger picture in your life or your current challenges? How can you expand your perspective to see the bigger picture in your life or current challenges? And in what areas could you benefit from stepping back and viewing things with more objectivity? I mean, I really need to go preach this from the mountaintops, I think. All right. The city of omniscience. Such a great word, right? The city of omniscience is the highest state of awareness in the Gene Key 17, where the mind transcends its limitations and becomes one with universal intelligence. Omniscience is not simply knowing everything in an intellectual sense of the word, it is a state of pure consciousness where all knowledge and understandings are available in an instant. In a flash, you see the whole picture, the whole thing is revealed. It is a unity of knowledge where the mind becomes a vehicle for the divine and or for divine wisdom, right? And the individual who obtains omniscience is no longer holding personal opinions or judgments because they see the interconnectedness of all things. How are all the different ties that bring us together? Knowledge is no longer something that's used as that is needed to be acquired in order to separate us from people who don't know, right? It is a direct experience of the unity of all things. It transcends time and space, even. Omniscience transcends the limitations that time and space brings to us and allows us to perceive everything simultaneously. Whew. It's a state of complete inner stillness and silence where all knowledge flows effortlessly. And how would that feel? Well, that would create a profound sense of connection to universal intelligence where everything is known intuitively. The dissolution of all opinions and judgments replaced by pure awareness and understanding. And a feeling of peace and serenity, maybe, knowing that all knowledge and understanding are part of the same unified field. Mhm. Great. All right. Now, there are questions for reflections. How can you cultivate moments of stillness where universal wisdom can flow through you? And what would it feel like to completely let go of opinions and experience pure awareness? God, I can just feel like the weight of opinions just leaving, right? The need to judge just leaving. Now, let's talk about the interaction between the 18 and the 17 for a bit. Um, Gene Key 18's judgment is in the shadow is primarily focused on emotional and moral criticism, while gene key 17, opinion, is tied to intellectual rigidity. Together, they really represent two sides of the same coin, how the mind and heart interact in their perception of reality. And judgment criticizes flaws, while opinions impose fixed mental perspectives. Both limit our ability to see life clearly and to interact with openness or interact openly with one another. In the gift level, far-sightedness and integrity, as we move through to the gifts of these two, they're complementary to one another. Far-sightedness allows us to step back and see the bigger picture, while integrity helps us to align our actions, what we do, and see with our broader understanding of these things, actions, words, deeds, all aligned. Together, they create a powerful combination of intellectual and emotional clarity, where we act from a place of deep alignment of truth and purpose. I'd like that on the planet. More, please. Now, perfection and omniscience. At the Siddhic level, these two are closely related. Perfection is the ability to see the inherent divine order in all things, while omniscience is the state of knowing this divine order directly. I, I am directly involved with this. Both cities dissolve the barriers of judgment and opinion and allow us to experience life as a sort of seamless, unified whole. And in these states, there is no need to judge or criticize or hold opinions because everything is seen as a part of the same divine intelligence. Woo-hoo. Right? All right. Now, I want to talk quickly before in the last few minutes here about the fact that the nodes, the nodal axis, is also in these gates reversed, right? If the sun is at the gate 18, then it is the south node that is at the gate 18. So we have this sort of karmic connection to the gene key 18, where judgment right now is the shadow energy. So, with the karma being the south node, karma being the past and the past's impact on the future or on the now, and how we can change that in order to make a better future. So, this is about our need to release the shadow of judgment because the South Node, as I said, represents past karma, old habits, and the collective patterns we are needing to release. In fact, we're ready to release. And with the South Node here, we're being asked to confront those deep patterns of judgment and criticism that we're holding both in ourselves and as a society, as a culture, as a planet. And many people feel like this intensified awareness of this energy right now and of where we ourselves have been overly criticized or overly critical and where perfectionism has stifled growth. Right? That's a part of this. There are karmic lessons of judgment here. Collectively, the energy of the Gene Key 18's shadow has contributed to cycles of blame, shame, and the need to control or correct others. This transit really encourages us to move beyond those rigid structures of what is right or what is wrong, acknowledging the emotional repression that underlies that pattern. And this is big stuff. This is not easy stuff, right? Moving into integrity, the South Node encourages us to step into the gift of integrity by acknowledging imperfections, but responding with compassion and responsibility and love, probably the most important, love. This is a time then to realign our actions with our inner truth and stop trying to fix or judge the world based on old limiting perspectives. We're being called to take responsibility for how we relate to the criticism, right? To how we relate to or how we could relate or move toward a more constructive healing approach in everything in our lives, but also in the world, and perfection in surrender. Ultimately, the city of perfection here calls for a deep surrender to life's inherent order. Everything is as it should be. This transit then can help us to release that need to control, fix, or critique every aspect of existence, of ourselves, of others, and invites us to trust in the perfection of life's unfolding. And for many, this is a karmic release of the need to fix things and instead embrace the inherent wisdom in every experience. Now, if we look at the south, or if we look at the north node being at the gate 17 of opinions, right? The north node is moving through that gate. We're evolving from opinion to far-sightedness. And the north node represents the collective destiny and what we're moving toward, right? That's the path that's laid out in front of us right now. And that means we're letting go of old, rigid opinions and opening ourselves to far-sighted, more inclusive perspectives. And we're being asked to evolve beyond polarized thinking and or those dogmatic views, whether that's religion or politics or intellectualness or you name it, right? Recognizing that every opinion is just one piece of a bigger puzzle. We're being asked to move into visionary thinking and collective growth, where we're being guided to think beyond the personal opinions and beyond the small mind and look at the bigger perspective. And this involves embracing more intellectual flexibility and seeing the interconnectedness of all things, of ideas, of peoples, of events. And we're learning to step back and observe without needing to judge or cling to our mental constructs. So not easy, right? We're looking at this point for far-sighted leadership. This transit inspires visionary leadership, where individuals and groups begin to see long term solutions rather than getting caught up in short term conflicts. And there is an emphasis here on objectivity, where we're learning to trust the process of unfolding rather than forcing our opinions on others. We're moving toward omniscience, where at the highest level, remember, this is where we develop a deep state of inner knowing that transcends the mental constructs that we have in our minds, right? The mental, instead tapping into collective wisdom and the wisdom that flows through all of us and reaching a profound sense of understanding and unity. All right. So I know I just gave you a lot to think about today. Hopefully, I didn't blow out your circuits. But I would welcome conversation around this. This is, again, one conversation today is not going to bring all of this into focus for you. It's through reflection and self reflection and through contemplation that you get to the deeper meaning for these gene keys in your personal life. Okay. And right now, it's up for all of us, right? Not just the people who have it defined by birth, but it's up for all of us. All right. Oh, Pleiadian card. Okay, Tom, I'll wait another few minutes. I'll be late for my class. It's okay. They're used to me popping in late. Pleiadian system of cards, the original Pleiadian wisdom. This is a deck by Pia Orlean and Colin Baird Smith. Ooh, this one just came out. Relationship, it's card number 11. Emotions. Your negative and uncomfortable emotions indicate that you need to change your beliefs and perspectives. Well, I couldn't have picked a better card if I tried, right? So let's take a look at what this one means. Number 11 in relationships. No, emotions. Okay. Got to find it. Here we go. Positive feelings like love, joy, trust, compassion, and peace are not emotions. They are what Larkma describes as cosmic states of being. Your emotions are the uncomfortable feelings you have. They are the key to understanding that you are out of balance in your thoughts and actions. They are signposts to point the way to how you need to change your thinking. Emotions are clear and direct signals to show you when you yourself are out of balance and need to change. Explore your emotions from an objective point of view rather than judging or blaming another person or situation or yourself. You need to step away from thoughts that you have stored as good or bad and arrive at each situation neutrally. Emotions show you how you are thinking incorrectly based on old patterns. Notice when you begin to feel the very edges of your emotions. As you pay attention to your emotions, looking at them and noticing what you're thinking, you can begin to change your thoughts, determining for yourself what the patterns are that you need to clear. This is appropriate for working with your own shadows, funny, and enhancing your relationships. Use your emotions to change your thoughts and change yourself, and you will be clear about what you need to do any situation. Remember, you can never change someone else. You can only change your own emotional responses. And the universal energy of 11 is about illumination. Let your divine light show you how to change what you are feeling by changing your thoughts. Wow, that is like the most perfect card for this show today. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. I hope you all have a blessed weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Bye for now.